Hello and welcome to LNP's The Huddle. I'm Tim Gross here with Walk and Laura Thompson. It's week 7 in the Lancaster-Lebanon League football schedule, and we got some big matchups again. The three we'll be talking about today are McCaskey at Warwick, we've got Solanco at Garden Spot, and Elko at Northern Lebanon. We'll start in Section 1, McCaskey and Warwick. McCaskey put up some points against Penn Manor last week. Warwick's still trying to kind of find itself and get on a little bit of a roll here, trying to build some momentum toward the end of the season. Who do you guys like in that one?
Yeah, and McCaskey, two things about them. One, quarterback John Burnside. He started the year at wide receiver, and then he moved over to quarterback 2 weeks ago. Last week, he combined for, 4 touchdowns, nearly 300 yards of offense, so the Red Tornado may have found something there. And the second thing is that McCaskey was very opportunistic in taking advantage of the Penn Manor turnovers last week. We know Warwick is a team that's committed a bunch of mistakes this year. I think the last 2 weeks they've combined for 15 penalties. I know that's kind of hard to predict just as far as penalties and turnovers are concerned, but I just really think McCaskey's going to be too much to handle, and I'm taking the Red Tornado this week. How about you, Laura?
Well, I have to say, I hope you guys take it easy on me this week because my heart is just finally starting to get back into a normal sinus rhythm after Wilson and Hemfield last week. Before I give a pick, I must take a moment and give a shout out to our fearless leader, sports editor Chris Otto, who did something in week 6 that none of us have managed to do with our picks this year, and that is go a perfect 12-0.
Wow.
So props to you, boss, but you still haven't caught up to me yet. That said, McCaskey and Warwick is a really, really even matchup, to the point that in the last 10 years, the games between the two are split right down the middle at 5-5. Both offenses have really been coming to their own lately, but I have to agree with you, John. John Burnside has really been a nice catalyst for them, and I think that they are going to take it over Warwick this week.
I agree with you guys. I think McCaskey has the advantage. You look at Warwick's losses. They've given up 48 points, 51, 34, 41, 34. They've got some holes on defense, and I think McCaskey has the kind of team that can exploit those and really put up some points if they have to, and I think they'll be able to take care of Warwick. Moving on to Section 2, Solanco and Garden Spot. Solanco's still undefeated, and Garden Spot is trying to nudge its way into the district playoff picture. Who do you like in that one?
Yeah, and that's our game of the week. That's why we're talking about it. Garden Spot's 3-3. Solanco is still undefeated. Garden Spot, I think, is a team that just keeps shooting itself in the foot. I feel like a penalty here, a turnover there, take those away. They might have beaten Lancaster Catholic in week 4, might have beaten Cocalico last week in week 6. And I bring up those two games because Lancaster Catholic, their quarterback Downey ran all over Garden Spot, and Cocalico, I think, put up 200-plus yards of rushing last week against Garden Spot. We know Solanco has an even more potent offense than either of those two teams, so I'm taking the Mules this week. How about you, Laura?
I have to go along with you again, John. Golden Mules, they are a hard-charging, fun-to-watch team, and they're also outscoring their opponents 44-11. They're averaging almost 350 yards a game on the ground. You know, they've got Robbie Hassel, they've got Prosper Egazawa, they've got Darren Weary, and as ringmaster, they've got Noah McCardle. The Spartans have a nice offense too, solid defense, but they'll need a whale of a game to pull this one off. So I'm thinking Solanco goes to 7-0 this week.
Yeah, I like Solanco as well. Like we've talked about just the options Solanco has on offense with Hassel, McCardle, Darren Weary gets in on it, and I think it's a little overwhelming for defenses to prepare for. Garden Spot has the offense that can kind of keep up with teams like that, but they rely a lot on Jihad Jeffers, the running back, and they're 0-3 when he doesn't get 100 yards rushing. Not that he can't do that, but I think Solanco is going to really focus on shutting him down and making them beat them elsewhere.
Yeah,
so I'm going to take
tools to do it too.
I'm going to take Solanco in that one. And finally, a big one in Section 3, we've got Elko and Northern Lebanon. Elko coming in on kind of a roll. They've won their 3 section games so far. Northern Lebanon, we talked about Wilson and their historic 53-game LL winning streak. Northern Lebanon's won 14 in a row in the league, so a good matchup there. Who do you like in that one?
Yeah, and Elko, like you said, it's a team that's been on a roll. I feel like we should almost start calling them the cardiac kids if they keep pulling out these close games, and that's something they struggled to do early on in the year. They started out 0-3, but I think Elko's a team that kind of just needed those first few weeks to really figure things out. They had a couple players suspended early, which may have contributed to the Week 2, 8-point loss at Palmyra. The week 3, 1-point loss to Lebanon. So really, they could be 5-1 right now had they fixed those mistakes. But I think they turned a corner at week 4 here. And, I have a hard time picking against them. I did it last week, and I really regretted it. And they pulled out the win against Donegal. I think they're going to pull it out this week, so I'm taking the Raiders. How about you, Laura?
Ooh, interesting selection. Their last 3 wins, I agree with you. Elko's last 3 wins have been fabulous. Jeff Martin is undoubtedly the hottest quarterback in Section 3 right now. He has 11 touchdown passes this year and had 4 of them last week. He also has a solid group of running backs to share the load with him on offense. But that's where this gets interesting, because across the field, Northern Lebanon's wall of dread. Coach Roy Wall said this week that his team got a very much needed wake-up call last week against Williams Valley. They almost lost, ended up pulling it out and winning 16-13. But the Vikings have refocused, according to Coach. And they're undefeated for one reason, and that is their line. They're going to look to bottle up the Raiders' run game. They're going to make Martin throw, and then they're going to come at him with the blitz. And throw in Northern Lebanon's not at all bad offense, and I think they are going to go to 7-0 this week.
Laura, I agree with you. Last week I picked against Wilson, the defending Section 1 champ. I learned my lesson there. Northern Lebanon won the section last year. They're on a roll. They're undefeated. They've won games by blowout. They've won close games. They came back last week, like you said. I just think they have the experience, and coming from the line, building off of that, I think they're going to be really tough to beat. I'm going to go with the Vikings this week. So those are our picks. Be sure to follow us throughout Friday's action on LancasterOnline.com, and thanks for tuning in.